What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back, and it's not even an episode, it's a new live stream show that I'm going to start rocking on Sundays. Now, I've got some special guests in the back wings. I've got Dean from Collecting Weekly, as well as 16fix Marco himself. So some special guests. We're going to talk a little bit today about Mars Attacks. The Mars Toys line, they are killing it lately, and I got to give more thoughts than I have. I'm just filled with emotions about it. We're going to talk a little bit about some of our show and tell items. So I don't want to do new this week. I want to do just whatever is in your collection. My guests, they're going to show me some of the stuff that's in there. Then we're going to have a couple topics to discuss as well. So if you guys like the video, hit the like button for me if you can. Smash the subscribe if you're new to the channel. And let's get into it.
I give you Ben Thomas Showtime. Here we go.
Alrighty, boys. Welcome to the, technically I want to say it's the first live stream of the Ben Thomas Show. Last week it was the birthday celebration. This is more of a real show with the boys. So thanks for joining. Mr. Dean, Collecting Weekly. How's it going, buddy?
It's going pretty good, man.
Yeah?
It's a little early, but, you know, it's all right. We're making time.
So I made it purposely a little early because Marco wouldn't have been able to show up if it had been later today. Depending on how it goes in the chat and for the, for everybody, coming weeks, I'm going to take it a week at a week, see if it's fun, see if it's popular, see if it's fun to just do. I always love chatting with you boys, but we might do it a little bit later in the coming Sundays. We'll kind of see. I know Last of Us is tonight as well, so I wanted to get done nice and early for the Last of Us.
I can't wait.
But Mr. Marco, 16fix, good to see you here, buddy, too. Thanks for thanks for having me. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you are very welcome. It is your pleasure. No, it's going terrific. Thank you for the invite, and I like that intro. That was perfect.
Did you? So yesterday I reached out to Zach, the Oxfather, on Collecting Weekly, and I was like, dude, I have no idea how to make clips. And I think clips are a little bit fun, especially when it comes to a live show. It was kind of a dark and deep rabbit hole. I ended up making clips, I'm not kidding, for like 5.5 hours.
Wow.
It finally got to the point where I was like, okay, I need to stop making clips.
But then I
started trying to piece my name together and stuff, and
Ben Thomas.
It just got really fun. It just got really fun.
So wild. I love it.
So many. I've got so many. So we'll pepper them in throughout the show. If anybody at any time is generous enough to do some super chats and stuff later on, I've got some fun ones for those as well. But
nice.
Tell me about the weekend, boys. What have you guys been up to all weekend?
I've been switching my room around for the past... it's been like a week, but... I'm getting my Prime 1 statue in soon, and I was like, I need an area to display it, so my whole fucking room changed. So,
that's amazing, man. You honestly look super crispy. I've never seen you with so much room in your space, because I always feel like every time you stream, it's kind of above you a little bit.
Yeah, I'm always in a corner, yeah. But, yeah, now I'm kind of just out of the corner. I still have some room in front of me, obviously all the space behind me. But yeah, my whole, literally my entire room did a 180. So I used to be in that back corner over there. It goes back about another, 10 feet that way after the detox.
Crazy.
So yeah, everything's switched around. I got tables with boxes. My couch is literally like, was that 4 boxes high of Hot Toys on the whole thing. It's nuts. My detox, in fact, as you can see, are mostly empty. I haven't really done anything with those yet. So,
are the art boxes out, or are they all in like shipper boxes?
No, they're all in their shippers. Yeah, all the ones that have shippers anyway.
That's cool. I've been working on my closet because I wanted to get all my art boxes out of the shippers, and it's coming together. But the more art boxes I add, then I'm gonna get to that point where I have to take a couple down. So I'm gonna try and figure out what to do with that. But
yeah, it's a tough balance.
But part of the show and tell, and you guys might be able to come up with a more creative name than show and tell, but I really it's funny how long we've been streaming together, and I've never really seen your collections. Dean, I'm going to see you in about a month, but you're coming to Dallas, Texas to see me, so it's not like I'm going to get to hang out in the collection room, right? So
yeah.
What scale is that Boba Fett in front of you there? Is that quarter scale?
Oh, it's just quarter scale, yeah.
Crazy.
He's a big old boy.
Well, and you said earlier you've got something coming as well. Statue related.
That's a Prime 1.
Oh, you were talking about a statue. Got it.
Yeah, Prime 1 Punchline. She's third scale, so much bigger than this. And then her base is probably just as tall as this. So yeah, she's gonna be the top of her head will probably still be at the top of this camera angle. I mean, she's gonna be huge. So
is this your first 1/3?
Second.
Second. Nice.
Does Kevin ever jump up on the desk or anything? Like, there's no risk of that? Okay.
No, not even if there's food, he won't do it. So,
What a sweetheart.
yeah, I don't want to say he's a good boy, but he's not super bad.
It reminds me of the time that you were having, I don't know if we were backstage and we were just shooting the shit, but you were eating tacos and Kevin was down there wanting your tacos like super badly and like doing his little like, give me a taco voice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I can't eat before a stream because he doesn't know when the food's gone for like another like 10 minutes. So he'll just like keep whining. So I have to not eat before a stream.
And sorry, buddy, you said you're going to put the punchline like in behind you on the desk there?
Yeah, she'll be right in front of the Texas flag.
Very cool. Everything's bigger in Texas. I've been told. Yeah.
Well, you'll find out next month, man.
I will. I know Shauna's getting super excited now. So let's check in with the chat buddies and our boys, and then I want to see what you brought to the table for show and tell this week. So we actually have Shauna in the chat. She's joining us upstairs with her apple snacks. Very good. Face heart red shape. I don't think that she wrote that. It should have been an emoticon. We got some guy in the chat. Thanks for coming by, buddy. That's appreciated. What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday. We got Joe Mama 007 in the chat. They're teasing Alfred the butler. I know we are going to talk a little bit about that today.
Alfred
I got
would be sweet.
pretty excited about that, to be honest. Shauna with a tough nut. Love to see it. We got Thalia Meyer in the chat. Hey, happy Sunday, everybody. Thanks for coming by, Thalia. Appreciate it. Absolute Irwin, tough nut to swallow hashtag. We've got Thor Gaming, my brother in Ontario. Thanks for coming by, Jake. Appreciate it. We've got Tyria. Hey, everyone. Good to see you here. Mr. Danny Lee. Hey, what's up, boys?
Sweet Danny Lee.
Danny. Love to see it. We've got Calvin, a.k.a. the low-key collector, in the chat. Now, you hung out with him recently, right, Marco? Did you get a chance to go, like... Calvin. You stayed with him, so you got a chance to see his collection in person.
Oh gosh, yeah, his collection is insane. It almost brought a tear to my eye. It was so beautiful.
As long as it didn't drop your pants, because I heard that's something that just happens.
So you have to, yeah. That's the price of admission. Is I had to drop my draws, but it was totally worth it. And yeah, it's just a crazy collection, man. So
that's
Calvin's
awesome.
Calvin's a great dude. We had a lot of really good time.
Well, I don't know Calvin as well, so I'm gonna have to name drop you and be like, hey, Calvin, you should come to one of the next Ben Thomas Show live streams. Just name drop when you can, right? So
of course, and I do have a name for the live stream I'd like to submit when we get there. So
okay,
I would love to throw a name in the ring.
That's good, because I thought of it all week and I am completely just not creative. I sent Dean a couple of choices and he's like, I think that is something already. What did I send? The BTS show?
Yeah, the BTS is like, well, that's a Korean boy band.
So pretty appropriate, actually.
I'm showing my age. I had no idea. Like, people would be like, oh, he's trying to, ride the hype train from BTS. Yeah, no, totally over my head. So we've got, is that Slipper or Slifer? Slipper?
Slifer.
Interesting. Slifer. What's up, guys? Thanks for joining. Definitely appreciate it. Absolute Irwin says, can't wait to see the Punchline Shrine, Dean. Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be dope. Yeah. I'll show it off here in a second, but
that's going to be the one time that I get 1080p so I can see it a little clearer, I think, because the 720 sometimes it doesn't do it for me. You know what I'm saying? Casual Nerd Problems in the chat here. He says, hey Dream, sup Dean and crew. Good to see you here. We got Big Dog Pound 1. The guy's been making his rounds like crazy on the chats lately, but always good to see you here. Thanks for coming by.
Ben, you got to give him a woo. Come on.
Woo. Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I'm not used to this microphone yet, so if I blow the speakers off anybody's TV, I am not held responsible, boys. We got Mr. Alvin J in the chat. Alvin J will now go down in history as the very first person who ever sent me a super chat, so it remains close to the heart. Thank you for coming by, buddy. I appreciate it. And we got Mark P in the chat. I think that covers most folks here. We got Batman collectibles. Let's talk about some Mars toys. So excited about these announcements. 1,000%. Duran Moss. What's up, everyone? Happy Sunday. Thanks for coming through. And we've got, of course, your lovely Gigi in the chat. Thanks for loaning him out this afternoon, Gigi. I appreciate it. I know you guys got some plans, I think, later this afternoon. Or that's what he told me. Maybe it's just Hogwarts Legacy.
It's actually, it's a little boys get-together later today. So she's looking forward to getting me out of the house, I'm sure.
Getting you out of the house. So, Marco, tell me a little bit, dude, about what you brought in for show and tell today.
So I'm bringing, let's see if this shows here. Okay, hold on. There, I had it. So Hogwarts Legacy had been playing on the PS5. Sorry, this is...
Looks like you're being absorbed by the Shadow Realm.
Yeah, so Hogwarts Legacy on the PS5. Haven't gotten extremely far yet. Have not had enough game time. Just been a little bit busy as of late, but it's incredibly well done from what I've played. It feels like an episode of... like a Harry Potter movie, basically. So Gigi, played, she created her own character, played through a portion. She's very odd in that she doesn't like sound if she's playing a video game. So she played like Pokemon, beat the entire, I forget which, it was like the remake one on the Switch. No sound the entire time. I'm like, how do you play games with sound? So
does she at least read the subtitles, or?
Yeah, she'll read the subtitles, but she just doesn't like, she likes to just zone out. And so she was like, it's a little loud for me. I was like, the audio is such a big part of the gaming experience, especially with a game as beautifully rendered and the audio quality as this one. So I was I went through and played through the section she had already done. And then when I got a bit further than she was, she kind of watched that portion. So.
Well, if somebody's going to sneak up on you with an evil wand, you want to be able to hear that shit coming. Like,
come on, exactly.
You gotta be able to hear. So Shauna's actually got the opposite problem with me. If I can convince her to play a game, she has to have the volume on. But like sometimes to like an unrealistic level. So I think it was last Tuesday, she was out there looking for hidden packages on Grand Theft Auto Vice City.
Wow, what a real one.
The updated version. Awesome game.
Yeah, you need headphones for that.
Yeah, so I handed her the headphones because I was like, she was like, you guys are going to jump on Collecting Weekly Tuesday, like, you do you, but I want to play the game and I want to be able to hear shit. So, but the soundtrack in that game is a banger.
Oh wow, so she was in the front room playing with her headphones on while you were in the back streaming. She was getting to sit with all the main figure displays.
Yeah,
I got to figure out.
You go.
Especially if you're looking for the hidden stuff in Grand Theft Auto, they play like sounds that you really have to be like paying attention for. Like, I think Grand Theft Auto has like pigeons that you have to find, and so there's not pigeon noises usually, so you really have to look for it. Or like alien artifacts, they'll make like a humming noise, like a sci-fi. So yeah, you really need your headphones on.
Such a big part of gaming. But yeah, Gigi's the weird one. Shout out to Shauna really quick. When's the Catwoman cosplay coming through?
No doubt, eh? I know. Well, we got to start somewhere, and October feels like it's not far away, even though the year just started. So, might need to start planning that soon. She's got the big
already April.
Blonde hair. I could see it. So
there you go.
It's already April. Shauna, Gigi says, Shauna, it's my downtime. I want to complete silence. Big dog pound. Sometimes I put white noise where I'm playing. See, I don't have Gigi to read the long comments, so Marco, you've got that locked in, buddy. You've got that locked in.
There you go. I know. That's my crutch there.
I can't play without the sound. That's such a huge part of the game.
It's so weird. I know.
That's really strange.
So I was playing with my headphones on while she was watching with no volume. So we did have the subtitles, so she's able to see what's being said. But I'm like, you're not getting the full experience. So
yeah, because like you said, there's like when people are sneaking up on you, or I know like in Elden Ring, music is a huge cue that something is about to happen. Because like there's like regular ambient music, and then when a bad guy sees you, the music changes. Mm-hmm. So if you're just running around with your head in the clouds, like, oh, what's going on over here? And then you get literally stabbed in the back. It kind of ruined the game for you.
Doesn't quite work. She's a fake gamer anyways.
It's crazy because even like these hidden packages on Vice City, not to go down a dark rabbit hole with these things, but there's 100 of these packages, and she has found 61. Yeah. And I'm like, the map is big, but it's not that big. Like, how the heck are there still 39 packages still left in this level? And
crazier in GTA 5.
Dude, you're not wrong, but it's a grind. And I like, for me, after I'd say about 10 hours of trying, I'm like, okay, I want to just like find a map online that shows where they are and just go hunt them down. And I have fun that way. She's like,
you're
that
like,
kills
which
the
ones
fun.
have I gotten?
You're not wrong.
Like, which ones do I need to go back and get? And then you waste your time. But yeah, it's funny because back in the day when we played San Andreas and Vice City, those games were huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
The maps were massive. And then you look at something like GTA 4 even, and they're a fraction of the size of that. And then you look at GTA 4 compared to GTA 5, and it's like not even comparable. You're like, oh my God. Like, so it's funny that you're like, how could there be 100 of these things lying around?
I used to have that experience with the Batman Arkham games because they also had like all the Riddler trophies you had to find. But that was the one that I tested like the grind on. Like I wanted to find them all, especially Arkham City and Arkham Asylum, those two specifically. Easily two of my favorite games of all time. But there was more to it than just finding them too, right? You had to get there, you had to go through the puzzle, like you had to figure it out, which was cool. So a little bit of a brain teaser.
I have one of those. They were giving away one of those games the other day on the PlayStation. And I forget which one, but I'm going to play it because I've been on a Batman kick lately.
Yeah, finally, Dean. Finally.
For sure. We got a few more people coming in. Pop Culture Living Room. Thanks for joining in, buddy. Definitely appreciate you being here for sure. I apologize. I am trying to juggle all of the chat and everything. So if you guys see any good comments out there, just let me know and I'll make sure I highlight those for us. My show and tell is two quick things today. So I went into a comic book store the other day because I had an update with my DeLorean. So I had a little bit of extra money and I went into Another Dimension Comics here in Calgary, and I didn't know it, but they were having a 20% off sale on every hot toy in their store and all of their sideshow pieces. Now, for Calgary, it's by far like the best location you can get any of this stuff. Like they've got the Tumbler, they've got the Bat Pod, they've got King Shark already, Bo-Katan, Loki, like new figures as well as some old stock. So I find like, for me, I go in there just to kind of see what's there. That's the same store that I saw the Zod at a couple weeks ago that I talked myself out of. But again, more on the rare side in terms of figure options. And the pricing is pretty good because in Canada, like for me to get a figure over from Sideshow, not only am I paying like that conversion price between Canadian US dollars, but then the shipping, and then there's always customs when it comes from Sideshow.
So do they not bake in a customs charge basically? So it's would not be included. Oh, that's
they
huge.
don't.
Okay,
But they always claim the cost of, or like the value of the piece, right? So some of my bigger pieces are more expensive, even like the Iron Man I got years ago. That was something that the customs charge I think was like $65 when it came through. So it adds a ton. So for me to be able to go into a store and not have that, it's a huge cost savings.
So I guess my question was, does the store not tack on an additional charge that would account for like customs basically?
I think where you're saving it, and maybe they do, I think it's on the shipping side of it. I'm sure they probably get bulk shipping orders because I got this guy, the Loki here, for $325 Canadian, which I worked out to be about, I think, $235, $240, somewhere in that range,
Nice.
US dollars.
Wow. Okay,
If
really good deal.
I pulled it up on Sideshow, if I'd got this from them, for example, it was going to be in the $450 range. So for me, it was like $110, $120 savings overall. It was crazy. So it was a figure that like has been on my want list, but not one that I was necessarily going to pay top dollar for. But getting it at the discount, I gotta say, guys, I don't know if you've been thinking about getting this one in your collection, but it's a beautiful piece. I initially gave it the face sculpt like a 7 out of 5, 7 out of 5, 7.5 out of 10. But it's growing on me. Not gonna lie, it's getting closer to like a 9. The more I've got it in the display, and the more I've been able to kind of tweak it on the way past. So
It looks great, man. Congratulations.
I would recommend it if you guys if it's on your possibility list. And then I brought this guy in for show and tell today, mostly because I feel bad for Leal. I was ragging on the guy a little bit at his show today because he was talking about Star Wars figures that he doesn't have, and this is one of them, the farm boy Luke Skywalker. Now, definitely not the strongest Mark Hamill likeness of all the figures that we've seen from them. But the reason I wanted to bring it up is, of course, we're seeing that, like, in the next couple of years here, we've got that 50th anniversary of A New Hope coming. So the question I have for you guys, do you think we're going to see more A New Hope figures? And if so, do you think they're going to be straight reissues, or are they going to update them?
Oh man, that's tough. I mean, Hot Toys is a very terrible track record of just fucking straight reissuing things, especially lately. So I don't know. That's a tough one. Those are beloved figures that people have been asking for a long time. I think we'll see them eventually. I don't know how soon, but it'd be kind of dumb if they didn't. Right? Like,
For sure.
only one of the most popular movies of all time ever. You're only going to release the figures once?
Yeah, and too many new collectors are in the game now since they last did a run of them.
Yeah, but I mean, they already reissued Han and Chewie. They've reissued Obi-Wan. Of course, this was back then. So I don't know. I mean, I would like to see a new Farm Boy Luke. That's one of my favorite figures. Just because of that movie and that character. Just
Do you still have it in your collection? Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, yeah, it's on my table back there. It's not. I haven't put it in the detail yet, but yeah, I would. Like you said, the likeness isn't super great. Now, of course, that's Mark Hamill when he was like 18 years old, so he does look very different compared to even Return of the Jedi or even Empire, because in Empire he got into that car accident and scarred up his face.
I guess, and he aged up quite a bit, even just age wise, you could tell.
Yeah,
got some years on him.
So he does look very different in A New Hope. So I don't super mind that figure, but I mean, yours is complete, right?
Yeah, it came complete.
I
Was
mean, I don't
basically
know.
It still had plastic on it. I mean, I got a great deal.
Brand
I
new
don't
ones.
know what else you could add in the box that would make that figure more complete. I mean, that thing is packed.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of when Hot Toys was hitting its stride. Because you look at that, or even the Sand Trooper from the same era.
Mm-hmm.
Those are two of the best figures ever made. Just jam packed with stuff, like shit you're never gonna use. But you know what? It was on the screen. You got it in the box. Now you have to buy a separate fucking accessory case just to complete your Hot Toys, or buy 3 different Mandalorians so you have all the little Grogu bits. Like,
Yeah. You're not wrong.
so I think maybe they won't do a straight reissue because it's actually going to require them to do something good. So
That's actually what I'm worried about, is that they'll gut the release a little bit. They'll take some things out, similar to what they've done with Bespin Luke. I know, even like, because I think the original Bespin came with like the what do they call it? Like the big metal tower that he's kind of dangling off of at the end of the movie,
the
right?
DX07.
Yeah. I know that like he's not coming with that in terms of the reissue of that version. Luke's
Is
been
that
on my.
actually coming out?
I think so. I don't quote me on it. I can try and find out, but I'm pretty sure it's coming out, because I mean they at least put out the pre-order pictures, I guess. So I guess they haven't officially announced it in terms of it.
You're
Definitely
talking about the Bespin Luke?
the Bespin Luke, yeah.
So no, he's up for pre-order.
Oh, is he?
pre-order.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Cool.
I know it was always like, are they, aren't they? And then it was at a con, and then it disappeared for a while.
I think the speculation was that there might be a battle damage companion, right? So they've kind of maybe split the 2-pack up. But for now, we just got the standard one. It looks great, though. At least like they've improved in a lot of ways. Yes, you're getting less accessories than the original release, but so I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to, give us the rolling eyeballs. They're going to have better sculpts. They're going to have better tailoring for these figures. So I would just really hope, and I think it's going to happen, that they're going to give these newer figures a reason to exist, and then kind of preserve some of the value of the original releases. Because if you're going to touch those really well-regarded New Hope figures, you got to do something different. You can't just do a straight reissue, in my mind. But I would love to see a speeder. That's really, I think, needed for Luke, right? So if you're going to reissue Farm Boy Luke, give us a really cool accessory like that.
Totally. Well, and like Thule makes a good point here. Stop collecting backwards. Like, so I got a really good deal on this Luke, which is why I even pulled the trigger. Because up to that point, I'd only seen him for like $600 or $700, and I got this guy for basically what was retail. The guy was just, you know, changing his collection up to statues. He wanted to move his Hot Toys on, wanted to move it to somebody who would appreciate it, like just like a fellow collector, which was really cool. But for me, like when I close my eyes and think about Luke Skywalker, Farm Boy Luke, I think is kind of for me like the most iconic version. So there's been so many Lukes since, but I still feel like I've got one that I'm happy with, at least at this point. I don't know if I would buy even an updated version similar to what they're doing with the Bane. I like my Bane 1.0 because I've got nothing to necessarily compare him with, so he still looks awesome on the shelf. And same with the Luke. I like the Luke likeness enough. When I walk past him on the shelf, it looks like Farm Boy Luke to me. I don't know if I would need to buy it again, but I agree with Thule. I think with everything that's happening with reissues nowadays and kind of the way that the market's changing with Hot Toys again a little bit, I'm almost hoping for reissues going forward. There was a time where I was like, I hope they don't reissue anything because I don't want my collection value to change. But then when I stopped thinking about it in terms of value and started thinking about it as more of just like a really cool item, it's still niche. So there's still a lot of people in the world that don't have these types of cool things in their collections or don't have the means to be able to buy them. We're still like a small community of folks that own these, which still, in my opinion, makes them collectible. But I do think that like there are films that they should revisit the well on. And A New Hope is definitely one of them. Somebody mentioned in the chat C-3PO and R2-D2. A gold C-3PO, if they put him in diecast, I mean, I know Sideshow did him a few years back, but that would be one that I would jump.
Sideshows? I have Sideshows. It's terrible.
You don't like it, eh? I've only ever seen it in a display case, so I've never been
like
able to touch
if
it.
you have R2 and C-3PO by themselves, it's fine. But if you have them with the other characters, the C-3PO is way out of scale. He's like taller than Han Solo. The Hot Toy Solo, it looks fucking weird, and it's like that's not normal. It's also just like not well made. It's not die-cast, so like all his really delicate bits around the arms and stuff break all the time. Yeah, Hot Toys needs to make a fucking C-3PO ASAP. A real one, not that fucking horse shit from Attack of the Clones. No one
It's
wants
coming,
that.
Dean. Come on, they've already got all the R&D. Yeah, it's coming. There's I would bet my life on it. Alvin J was asking if he needs a director Krennic. He should be safe picking that up, right? Yeah. Well, we don't know that he's not going to show up in Andor's season 2. So
that's
a good call.
I recently picked up. Yeah, I would say we might get a reissue of that one or a 2.0. But I recently picked up the Disguise Han, right? And it wasn't an insignificant price, but it was at the point where if they reissue it, I'm not going to cry. It's like, okay, I spent a premium to have it now, but understanding that they may revisit it, and they probably will revisit it. I'm not one of those people that thinks that Han Solo is never going to be touched again. I think that we would get, another version. So I think if you're going to go backwards, at least make sure that it's at a price where if they reissue it, you're not going to feel like it's the end of the world.
100%. Are you going to do an unboxing of that figure on the channel?
I'm not sure yet. Yeah, I'm not sure. We've kind of paused on the unboxings just because those are hard to coordinate. But for this one, we might. So we might, bake it into the next.
I could even see a 1/6 Fix YouTube short from Gigi, just her quick 15-second opinion on a Han and Stormtrooper gear. I could see that. I think that'd be funny to watch.
I'm curious to get her thoughts, but. We've got some larger systemic conversations we have to have regarding collecting. So we'll see if we do a short and maybe a longer form one as well.
If you quit, you better not quit collecting. You can move in here into the basement if it comes to that. I'm just saying. Sorry, Dean, what were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say I don't know what movies Mario was watching, but C-3PO is like just about as tall as Luke Skywalker, and Luke is not taller than Han Solo. So go get your ass checked, buddy.
You called Mario a fake Star Wars fan, huh?
Oh, he's gonna call me out on the fucking air. It's like, at least look up a screenshot, buddy.
Hey, I told everybody this would be a low drama community over here on the Ben Thomas Show. Okay.
You invited the wrong guest.
You invited the wrong guest.
If you don't want toxicity, you shouldn't have had the two of us.
There you go. Boys, I want to switch gears a little bit. So
I'd like to take his face off.
God, I love that movie.
It's been a while since I've seen Face Off, and when I was going through the film the other day, thinking of like clips that I could use for the show, I ended up just restarting the whole movie and watching it right from the get-go. I put it out there for Blockbuster Movie Night of the Week, by the way, for Collecting Weekly. I don't know if we've ever done it or not, but I think we should consider it.
I don't think we have, but we might wait until these figures come out to do it.
So this is the 108 Toys version of Face Change, the villain and the agent. Of course, coming from like a direct third-party ripoff of Face Off. That film is a badass film. It's got some really cheesy parts that I completely forgot existed and made me laugh my ass off. The sucking of the tongue piece from the one lady, again, it's hilarious.
Peach. I can eat a peach for hours.
Yes, 100%.
Bro, I can eat a peach for hours too. I'm just saying.
Well, and Nick Cage is such an iconic actor. I mean, like when I was younger, I used to love Nick Cage movies. When I would go and visit my dad in London, Ontario, every weekend. That was back in the day where you'd go to Blockbuster on Friday or Jumbo Video, and you'd rent the movie, you'd get your snack, and we'd come home and we'd watch Jackie Chan movies, we'd watch Nick Cage movies, Bruce Willis films, right? Like all the action.
Were the Jackie Chan ones in English?
They were in English, yes. Dubbed horribly sometimes, though,
Nice.
especially some of the early films. The Steven Seagal action movies of the day, like all the crazy ones, right? And this one was one that I remember watching with my dad back then. Nick Cage in Ghost Rider also would be one that I would love to have. A Johnny Blaze, I know they made that Hot Toy a few years ago. Or at least I think it was Hot Toys or Sideshow. I can't remember exactly, but I know it exists. I think that would be a cool updated version. But Marco, what are your thoughts on these two figures?
Yeah, so I don't know that I've actually ever seen Face Off. I think this is a blind spot in my in my catalog viewing. So I'm excited if we do it as a movie of the week for me to revisit. I've seen a lot of clips from it. Obviously know that it's iconic. Travolta. This Travolta looks pretty sweet too. I think like I would want both of them if the movie resonated enough with me. I just started watching The Unbearable Weight of the one where Nicolas Cage plays himself, and Pedro Pascal's in that as well. And I kind of forgot how much I love Nicolas Cage. He's just like he's so bad that he's good in so many respects. Like, and the fact that it's like he embraces it. So I think these look really nice. Does anyone know if this? Too bad we don't have Joao here in the chat, but if this is maybe a spin-off of another larger company or what they've done in the past.
They usually are, but because it's like, what have they made before?
Yeah, that's what I'm not familiar with is what 108 Toys, because these prototypes look nice, and I know the suit tailoring is normally pretty tough to get right. But
this is a prototype.
That's the thing, right? So it's like, okay, is the final product going to be anywhere as close to these two? Because they look really nice. So I'm glad to see someone visit a film like this. Maybe we get some Con Air next. Who knows?
Yeah. Con Air. That's a deep cut too. Can you imagine? Oh my god, the long hair Nicolas Cage.
Oh my gosh,
with like the comb back.
This is not. I don't think this is a spoiler, but in the film where Nicolas Cage plays himself, they play like an extended clip from Con Air, and it's like I forgot how ridiculous this film is in his portrayal, but he's go ahead.
Is that the one with Dave Chappelle?
Is Dave Chappelle in Con Air? I don't
they
recall.
They throw him out the plane, I think.
I don't recall.
I want to say it's Dave Chappelle. Let me look it up.
Look it up.
Yeah, that movie's ridiculous, dude.
Marco, you mentioned something interesting about 108 Toys just being kind of an unrecognizable name. At least it is to me as well. Like, do you feel like you're kind of on edge when you buy from them and as a result, or would you just wait for somebody like Joao, somebody that's on that side of the world to get it?
I think that's the nice thing about this community. It's like, there's so many veterans that will tell you like, no, if you buy from this third party company, you should be fine, right? Because I was really, when getting into the game, I was really adverse to anything not Hot Toys. But now I know we're going to talk about Mars Toys, and Soso has been putting out some bangers. So I'm starting to get a better sense for like, okay, if I go with this third party company, it should actually be pretty high quality. Which is so I always consult with the veterans. So I would say if there's anyone in the chat that's on the fence, maybe reach out to some fellow collectors, get some advice on whether the final may come out as close to these prototypes.
I also like to live dangerously.
There's a full-on setup there.
I was waiting for it.
I'll stay.
Especially in 6 scale. I mean, with the exception of a few, I'm talking like specifically Hot Toys and Sideshow. Everyone uses the same fucking parts, right? The generic bodies, the fucking hands, the shoes, the clothing. I mean, unless you're talking like a very specific character, like, I don't know, let's just say it was Gambit. Like, these two are guys in suits. Any company could just find red and blue suits. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like the Captain America suit that's very intricate and lots of sewing and details need to be, sewn in. Where Hot Toys needs to have somebody sit down and do that.
I think I'm more concerned with the fit than the materials, though.
Right.
Like the fit sometimes looks goofy.
Looks very goofy, yeah, and that's why it's like, well, in 6 scale, you could find just about anything you need to make a character. So when someone just like whoever the fuck 108 Toys is putting it together, you could probably bet like, yeah, it'll probably just be about as good as you can expect, unless it's, I don't know, I mean, we've seen some very bad figures before, but for the most part, like, it's probably going to be pretty decent at the end of the day. Even like worst case scenario, probably pretty decent. Yeah. The sculpts is where it's really gonna matter.
Yes,
so
thank
it's
you.
like, well, like, I don't know about. I mean, Nick Cage and Travolta are two, iconic looking guys. So they've really got to get the head sculpts down.
Easy for them to get into that uncanny valley if they don't get them perfect, right?
Yeah, because like I said, like if the suit's good or not, like you could switch that out, or maybe it's just good enough that you don't have to change it. But if the fucking sculpts are bad, then it's like,
Well, and so for me, even like 190 feels a little steep for these guys because, again, once I convert it to Canadian and I get the customs and all the stuff, like this is still approaching a $300 figure for me easily.
Yeah, but
so
what is it? 3 head sculpts each,
I think so. Let me see if I got a picture.
or is it 2 with the little face thing?
2. Yeah, so a closing eye sculpt. This is the mask over top of the guy's face. Or not the mask, but the skin graft face.
Okay, that's interesting.
Which is pretty
For
gnarly.
some reason, I thought it was 2 complete unique sculpts. Okay.
He definitely looks better with the glasses on, for sure. I can see both actors in here. I think the fact that they gave you the face shaving, like the skin face shaving, is
hilarious.
pretty gnarly, but also amazing. The one scene where you see Nicolas Cage in the reflection, and you can see that the face has been peeled off of his actual muscle.
Okay, wait, Mark, you've never seen this movie.
I know the
I
setup,
don't even want to give
think
much
I've
more
seen
away.
the entire thing.
Oh my god!
Honestly, go ahead.
So good. This movie is awesome as shit, dude. We have to watch this movie now.
Yes,
We have to.
blockbuster.
Have we
movie
done The
night.
Rock at all recently? Because that's another one that
Also
I
a
have
great
seen
film.
that, but I'd love to revisit that.
That's who is that?
That's Nicolas
That's
Cage,
Sean
right?
Connery?
Too? And
Yeah,
Connery
Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery. Yeah, 100%.
in San Francisco, an absolute banger.
For sure. Yeah, I'd love to hear from the folks in the chat too. Like, are you guys going to pre-order this? I've never heard of 108 Toys, but I agree with you, Marco. I think you made some great points around just waiting for some of the vetso on that side of the world to take a look at them first. I appreciate that they're willing to jump on a grenade. Joao Brett is like my Captain America now, but not in America or in Canada. That works. But thanks for jumping on the grenade for us, good sir, out there. I don't think I'll actually buy these figures because I just don't know if I can justify the $600 to get them both. And I feel like unless you're just a John Travolta fan or just a Nick Cage fan, these guys have to go together. It's very much a set. I think they would have been smart to offer it as a 2-pack offering even if they'd had the opportunity to do so. But I think they're kind of cool. Let's move on to this one here. So I know this had been announced already, but I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Now, I don't want to dive too far into Mando Season 3 yet. We've just got Mando Season 3 Episode 2 this past week. I know a lot of folks in the chat haven't seen it yet, so I'm not going to talk spoilers. I just want to talk a little bit about this particular character, I want to say, or droid, because he ended up being kind of the droid ended up being kind of a staple of the episode. But I'm curious what you guys think, and Dean, I want to start with you. Have you seen the episode? Okay, perfect. Do you think that the N1 Starfighter is coming now, more likely anyways, as a result of this previous release, or no?
Absolutely not.
Interesting.
The
Okay.
M1 Starfighter would be about 7 feet long. It'd be bigger if you stood it on its end. It'd be taller than your door.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no way they're selling that at a price.
Taller than
that's-
your door? What door? Like your front door?
Most doors are 7 feet tall.
Yeah, most doors
The
are
average
7
door.
feet tall.
Yeah.
So I saw the prototype in person. I don't. Okay, so we have to check these stats again though. It definitely wasn't door size.
Okay, if he's
it's large.
6 feet tall and he look how small he is there. If you stand him end to end, that's easily 7, if not 8 Mandos long. That ship is.
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull up a picture of of what it looked like with people standing in front. But anyways, go ahead, Dean.
Yeah, because it's too big, dude. It's way too fucking big. I mean,
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
He's just setting these up here.
yeah.
Sorry, Dean. I had to cut you off with that because
No, you're good.
I'm
'cause-
shocked. I'm shocked you feel that way.
Because even like the what's it called, the Batwing, or what's the one from the Dark Knight,
The Bat.
the Bat.
Yeah.
They had to make that in 12 scale, and I wouldn't say that's any like shorter than like the overall length of the N1. But I don't know. If I'm wrong, cool. I'm still not getting it. I think the N1 is so fucking stupid.
I've thought it's been pretty cool in Mando. I didn't when they first introduced it as kind of his next vehicle. My first thought was like, where does he sleep then at night? Because like, there's no way you can sleep in that. You'd have to sleep sitting up for sure. Whereas at least with the Razor Crest, it was kind of like it was his floating house. It was his little
Yeah,
fortress,
he had
right?
a bathroom. He had storage.
Yeah,
He had a
storage for
sleeping
bounties.
area.
All of the things, right? Oh, is that Kevin? Poor guy.
Yeah.
He's giving his take. Single Songwriter had put in the chat, boys, that it's looking like it's 5.9 feet long, which I don't know if that makes a difference for you. It's at least a little bit shorter than the 7 feet long. But I agree, Dean. Like, I think for the folks that really want this, the reason I wanted to even talk about it today, and especially with regards to this droid, is now that we've seen Grogu in the N1 by himself with this droid, that's all I want to say about the episode. I would be reluctant to pass on this droid in the event that I was actually deciding whether to get the N1 Starfighter or not. Because now it's been an established scene. We all have, like you guys said earlier, a ton of Grogus floating around in our collections now. A little Grogu in there in the cockpit, with this guy up in the back seat there, I think could be a cool and fun display. And it would be one less Mando you'd have to worry about trying to flex into the cockpit of the vehicle itself, if you didn't want to, put that kind of pressure on your figure. For me, I would not be able to justify the N1 in my collection whether or not they release it. So this droid specifically doesn't resonate with me on the same level as something like a C-3PO would or an R2-D2. But Marco, what do you think, buddy? Like, have you thought about getting the N1 if it comes out, and would you then want this figure also, or not really?
Yeah, so two things. And also I just sent you a picture of what the N1 looks like with people standing in front on Facebook. But number one, I'm not getting the N1. There's no way. I just do not have the space. I love the idea of it, but it's way too big. Way too big for my very small collection room. But I do think that it's coming because I think that they can design it. It was a pretty simple design, honestly. Like made out of plastic, like all Hot Toys vehicles. A few lights here and there. And a lot of dead space. Like, it is long in an awkward sense, but it's not like the Tumbler where it's just this fat, like, solid piece. Like, there's just a lot of dead space. So I think that could definitely, manufacture this to be shipped at a reasonable price, around $1,000, to be competitive with their other vehicles. I think seeing the success of the Razor Crest that HasLab did, they may be compelled, like, okay, people just love Mandalorian. They would love a Mandalorian vehicle. Yes, this thing is really big, but it's just at the scale where I think people would consider adding it. And maybe they throw in, a new Mando and Grogu to either accompany it or as part of the package. So I'm going to say it's coming, but definitely not for me.
I think, Dean, for me, your point resonates because some of the photographs that I've seen of the Jazz Inc., what's it called? Batwing, has been, they're awesome. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's a beautiful vehicle, and I'm a little jealous of everybody who's got it. But some of the photos of people's displays with them in the room have been pretty eye-opening in terms of size. Like, you have to have
massive.
one heck of amount of size to be able to display, and like in what feels kind of like a classier way, not just being kind of forced into the collection, as well as if you want to be able to see the Batman in the Batwing or Mando again in the N1, like, you're going to want to have it at a low enough angle, or potentially even tipped over, I guess, in order to kind of truly get all the aspect out of it that you might want to. The only thing that I could see myself doing in the future, or other collectors that maybe don't want to suspend it from a wall or a ceiling, is doing something similar to what Joao Bretta did with his glass coffee table and his Batmobile, right? I mean, if you do kind of like a sand diorama display, say you do like the workshop that Mando always lands in, with the lady with the curly hair, I can't remember her name now, you could make a cool looking, like, basically display of that workshop area and have the vehicle potentially landed. But I mean, you see this, this is your photo, Marco, seeing this vehicle even just being behind that young lady there, like, it's pretty big. It's pretty big.
It's pretty freaking massive, bro. I definitely was like, okay, I knew it was going to be big, but seeing it in person, I'm like, okay, pretty blown away by the size. But again, because there's so much dead space, it is an awkward length. Mm-hmm. But I think that they could still manufacture it at a tempting price. And like you just said, the Batwing, that sold out, right? Like, a lot of people ended up getting that, even though that thing is fucking huge. But I think that enough folks, just love these vehicles and the idea of it. You see people holding up that Batwing. I'm like, I don't even know that they know where they're going to put it. It's not like a picture of it in their display. It's like a picture of them holding it next to them. For sure. But yeah, some people might just want these just to have it, just as a fun, piece to add to the collection, especially because if it's reasonably priced. But yeah, it's big. It's big, but it's coming.
You think it's
they
coming,
keep hinting, man, right? Like you talked about the R5D4. I don't think that that's a must-add accessory. I think that is, enough of a little one-off from an episode that it wouldn't be, 100% necessary to add. But I think having the BD unit and the pit droid, at least one of them, would be kind of fun to have around the display. So, I'm thinking about adding those droids too. But there's just no chance this would come to the collection.
Well, and like part of the reason I got excited about the BD unit was from the last what is it called? Not the last Jedi. I'm thinking of the film. That Cal Kestis' game. It's on the tip of my tongue.
It's gonna come to me as well.
Anyways, and I know that they've got the new video game coming out, right? Like real soon.
Jedi Fallen Order.
Jedi Fallen Order. Thank you. Amazing game. I think I played that back and forth twice. I found the combat in that game actually incredibly challenging, considering it reminded me more of a Dark Souls style.
Yeah.
I don't know if Dean's ever played it. He said he'll be back in just a couple minutes, but I bet he would have gone onto the combat there, because I mean, he kept me alive and you alive in Elden Ring for as long as he did. Even like, I think he would jump on the kind of the fighting style there. But
Absolutely.
With a potential new Cal Kestis kind of older version in this newer game, I'd be surprised if we don't see a BD unit again with that. And I mean, video game characters in terms of figures, I still think do pretty well. Like, I think that there's justification in considering making them, especially with the hype around that game coming. So I would kind of want to wait to see if a Cal Kestis gets delivered to us with a BD unit, as opposed to buying this droid set, unless you wanted it with your N1.
I really hope they do a Cal Kestis. I'm kind of shocked that they didn't end up doing one for the other game. Oh yeah, Jedi Survivor coming out next month, and I do want to acknowledge
awesome.
Costa saying R5D4 is an OT character. Yeah, obviously he's got a busted motivator, so definitely
That is a good
don't
call.
want to make us look that casual, but so you could have him, I guess, with Farm Boy Luke if you really wanted to. But yeah, I like that little droid pack. A little overpriced, but it's a nice one.
I still don't have an R2D2 yet, and this most recent version that was available, I missed it. It went pre-order. I put myself on the wait list, and then it converted as I'd made the payments for the DeLorean and some of these others, and I let the window slide. So I'm still kind of. I think R2D2 is one of those characters though that we're going to see a couple more times. Let's be honest. There's going to be some revisits there for sure.
Might even be a 2-pack with C-3PO with the classic versions. We'll get more.
For sure. Let me just interrupt you really quickly.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Batman Collectibles with a $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much. He says, I love Batman 89 and I'm slightly jealous of that Batwing, but unless you have the museum, I just don't see a proper way to display it. I've seen photos mounted high up and that you're staring at the bottom. Yeah, I am with you on that one. I think thank you, by the way, for the super chat. That's extremely generous. Thank you so much. I think it's interesting that, like, again, in order to see in the cockpit, you'd almost want it turned over, or as I said, in a glass table. It's interesting for me because obviously this N1 is a Mando vehicle, but when I think back to like even the original, not the original trilogy, but the prequel trilogy, some of the more iconic vehicles from that, for me at least when I was a kid, was actually more on like the pod racer side of things as opposed to the N1 Starfighter. I didn't connect with the yellow N1 as much as I did with those pod racers back in the day and how cool of a scene that was from Phantom Menace. So I would almost want a pod racer more if I was going to kind of revisit some of the older style vehicles, but. Do you have any other wish list items in terms of vehicles from either Star Wars or some of these other franchises at the moment?
The only other vehicle I'm really holding out for is the Batman. So Batman Collectibles, perfect timing here. The Batman Batmobile. I really like that design, and I think that would look sweet with the 89 Batmobile. The Tumbler, I think I've rolled out getting, even though it was 20% off. It's just too thick. It's just too thick to fit in any displays. So it's an awkward size, even though that's an iconic Batmobile for me. So I think that's the one. How about you, Ben?
Honestly, after everything going on, even with the DeLorean right now, I feel a little bit nervous to even pull the trigger on other vehicles. I know that might sound ridiculous, because obviously lots of people have had great success when it comes to having their other, offerings that are available. I mentioned last week to you, Marco, like the new Batmobile. The Keaton Batmobile for me is so iconic. I would love to have it in my collection. I think it's a little disappointing they didn't update it very much from what I think the original Hot Toys offering, or at least it doesn't really look like they did. But now, like, if I'm going to put it in my collection, I need to have an actual vehicle display in mind, because otherwise I feel like it's going to end up sitting in a box at some point, or I'm going to have to try and change my display around it, which I'm not necessarily tempted to do either.
Definitely not what you want to do.
Yeah, and at least with the DeLorean having the ability to do hover mode, I might have been able to have multiple different display options. But sorry, what were you going to say?
Wait, so you might have been able to have. So does that mean that? Okay, we'll get to that. But so I think Hot Toys really is maybe not interested in doing vehicles too much anymore. I think we still see the N1, but after that, I think with the whole DeLorean, let me just say fiasco, that might be an overstrong word. They might get scared off from doing vehicles in the past because it seems like they might be more trouble than they're worth for them. They might not have the QC ability to be able to put out, a high quality vehicle, which is a bummer. So we're getting just a straight reissue on the 89, like you said, and I think those might be the last of the vehicles we see.
Absolutely. So it's a great segue into the next slide here, and I put up the topic. And it's not really a topic, but it's fucking way she goes, DeLorean Delay. So I told you guys last week on the show when we were talking on Tuesday night on Collecting Weekly that I'd paid off my DeLorean in full. And despite some of the QC issues and kind of the emotional roller coaster I've been on lately with this vehicle, I was still pretty excited to get it kind of in hand. And then the next day I got this email from Sideshow saying that this had been delayed. Now I know there's been lots of chatter kind of about this. So I know some folks are thinking this could be an opportunity to recall some units, maybe change out some of the parts. Maybe we'll get an upgrade. Maybe it's a good thing. On the other side of the fence, we have a lot of people saying, no, there's no way that that's the case. This has more to do with the fact that so many of these cars got sent back to places like Sideshow and asked for returns. And now some of that stock that was allocated for some of these batches going out to folks like myself who was waiting are now delayed as a result.
I have a hard time following that theory, though. If there's such an influx of things being sent back, I think that'd be a pretty strong indicator to a company like, hey, maybe we need to retool a few things instead of just pushing out the existing stock, because then you're going to have the same problem all over again. Where does the buck stop?
I think the challenging part there is that we talked a little bit about the cost that would be associated with something like that, right? How many brick and mortar stores already have these in their stores that they've paid for shipping and all that kind of stuff? Like, they'd have to get returns. People they've committed orders to, like, it would be a logistical nightmare to try and recall.
I'm not even saying a recall though, Ben. I'm just saying a retooling on the next batch, right?
The next batch.
Like maybe they go and like do a different material, or try a different method,
bro. If
or
they're
check
gonna
them a little bit better.
If they're gonna retool on a second batch, just recall it. Because now you're shitting on all the people that got the first batch.
So that's why I was
just don't
talking
think
about the
that they
logistics
can, though,
of it.
financially. I don't think, like Ben said, it would be a logistical nightmare. I think they want to just whatever's out there. I don't know. That's my opinion.
Bro, that's real shitty to be like, well, it's too much of an inconvenience for us, so we're not gonna do it.
They haven't communicated at all, so we don't know how they're feeling about it, right? Like, they haven't said a damn thing about it, where there's like a pretty large issue over here.
I mean, yeah, it's a huge. Does it really matter how they feel about it? Bro, your fucking product sucks. At least this particular one does. Do something about it.
For sure.
This is interesting in terms of the no issues in Asia. I haven't seen one way or the other that there are no issues in Asia. So curious comment by Costa. Would love to know where he is deducing that from.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you, Dean. I think that, like, if I'd already got my vehicle in hand and it had any level of issue, and then they put out another batch that had an update, I would be wanting to send mine back. So whether or not that they'd want to accept that or not, I mean, I guess it depends on your terms when you bought it, when you opened it, some of the, the area surrounding it. As a collector, I feel like that would be a huge, huge slap. If, as I said, they did a retooling. I know that people back when the Jazz Inc. Batmobile, the Batfleck the Justice Mobile first got issued, and then it had issues. This is, I think, previously to their being licensed, but then they had new versions kind of released in sequence slowly after, and that upset a lot of people, because the people who then pulled the trigger to get a first batch item got kind of the short end of the stick. And like, how is that fair? And if they can't send you something like a conversion kit in the mail, something that you can maybe kind of tool yourself at home and just update it yourself without having to send it back, I don't know. It's too tough of a nut, I think, to swallow. I think they either have to recall it all, or this is more to do with delay from just having less stock available to resend out to people.
Yeah, because even with the Mark 85 Tony with the head sculpt, the updated head sculpt, that was a waking nightmare for a lot of people just to get that head sculpt in. And then there was emails and windows that you had to, like, proof of purchase had to be sent in by this day, and it was just like, but nobody, like, there wasn't like a clear. Some people didn't hear about it until after the fact. It's like, well, where the fuck was I supposed to know any of this information? So it's like, just do a straight recall. Just tell everybody, hey, this fucking thing is not where it needs to be. Because, I mean, Hot Toys makes quality products, right? Like, nobody is here debating that. This one ain't it. This, I don't know what happened, but this one's just not meeting the threshold of Hot Toys quality, so it needs to be fixed.
I just think the recall option is just, I don't think that will ever happen, unfortunately. I agree with you, though. Like, they should be taking measures. It's either got to be communication from them on how you convert the wheels properly to not break them. But some people are getting them broken already, so that's only going to solve a portion of it. And they've got to give us an extended warranty, I think, right? Like, it's 1 month to figure out whether this thing is going to break or not. It does not seem like enough time. So we need communication from if it's not going to be Hot Toys, at least from Sideshow, because there's too many of these with issues for them just to ignore it. It's just going to, okay, the batch is going to be delayed, and then those ones are going to have issues, and it's just going to be a never-ending cycle. So they've got to tell us what's going on here.
Absolutely. It's funny that Shiny says, "Hello, Benjamin. Sounds like how your parents would approach you when you're in trouble." I used to get called Benjamin when I was in trouble. But then I went on a cruise one time and our server's name was Benjamin, and he was like so professional. He was like, "Hello, my name's Benjamin. I'll be your server this evening." And ever since I was like, that sounds so much more professional than Ben. So now in my work life, I call myself Benjamin as opposed to Ben. So yes. In trouble to professional. We'll see how she goes. So for my update on this then, as a result, I did contact Sideshow and I got my money returned. So I had about $1,030 already paid. I called them and said, "Hey, there's been a delay. Can you cancel it for me so I can reorder it and just put it back on a payment plan and get some of my money back?" Because at the end of the day, I don't see a point in Sideshow necessarily holding the money. It looked like, based on the email here, that it's probably going to be closer to July, let's be honest, before I'd get it in hand. So for them to hold my money for 4 to 6 months, I'm like, nah, it's not worth it. In Canada or in countries that don't have the US or that have to worry about a US dollar conversion, here we have the ability to get US dollar credit cards. So a lot of these types of purchases I recommend doing on a US dollar credit card if possible. And so you don't have to worry about a conversion loss if you get a return back.
And you should never let a company hold on to your money for too long, right? So I think you did the right thing here.
Well, and that's part of, so I ended up getting my Loki this week as a result, because I was still excited to get something in hand, and I'll put the rest slowly back into payments, right? So, but again, I think it's just, not letting the company hold your money. At least Sideshow, in terms of customer service, was willing to do that. No questions asked. It was super easy. And they still had the availability of stock, so I was able to put it back on the payment plan. Kind of no problem. David Z, or David Z, depending on what country you're in, I suppose, sends a $5 super chat in. Thank you so much. He says, "It's one setback. The other vehicles are great. Trust me, if it continues, worry. It transforms and it's complicated. They will figure it out." I gotta say,
5. I'll stay.
thanks for the super chat, man. I appreciate it.
5.
I almost got it twice.
Wow.
You almost got it twice. We'll see how it goes. I think I'm going to keep my pre-order. I'm going to start doing the payment plan over again. And once it's kind of paid off, I'll look forward to receiving here in a couple months. I wanted to do a Ben Thomas Show basement tour again, like an updated 2.0 tour, because everything down here has changed since my last channel show on it, but no such luck in terms of getting this guy at the moment. So give me one second here.
Yeah, Zach was like, "When are you going to do your collection tour?" And I'm like, "Well, I got to wait for Punchline." So at least another few more months.
Absolutely. Sorry, guys. Just give me 1 second here. I'm going to send a quick invite. We got Pete Cass wanting to jump in, so we'll send that over to you here in just a minute there, Pete. We got Riley Reviews in the chat. Thanks for joining in, good sir. Good to see you here. Right on. Let's get on to the next one. So, Michael Gough, or Goff, I guess you should say, or I should say, has been teased by Mars Toys. And the main show topic for today's chat is Mars Attacks. Because lately, Mars has been so tempting to start into their rabbit hole with. They've got so many pieces that are coming. I'm a huge Batman fan. And they're just tackling the right characters of the right films for me, that I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna need a Mars Toys display section in the room. When I saw that they were teasing this guy, I was pretty excited for a couple of reasons. This actor specifically, we got him in the 89 Keaton film, of course. We got him in the 92 Batman Returns. We got him in Batman Forever, and we got him in Batman and Robin. So that's Keaton, Kilmer, and what's his name? I always forget it. George Clooney, which is crazy. So 3 different Batmans, same Alfred. And I gotta say, his acting, just as his presence as Alfred, I thought was always amazing. I mean, this was the Alfred of my childhood. And I always thought it was cool, even though even though I thought it was kind of weird that the actor as Batman changed, because I didn't really get that concept as a kid. I was always kind of like, why isn't it the same person? That seems weird. I liked that Alfred was a consistency in those films. And now rewatching them, now revisiting those, it feels to me almost like multi-universal, where it's like these were just different universe versions of the Batman, but the Alfred was the same guy.
Okay, that was my question. Are they all supposed to be the same Batman?
I don't know. I feel like they allude to it with Kilmer's Batman. But
Where's like pretty much the Keaton suit at the beginning too.
it's pretty darn close.
Okay.
And then even Clooney's version is essentially just a spray painted version of the Kilmer suit. At least at certain times of that, of his film. So I think it's supposed to be the same Batman. But again, I see it as like a multiverse instead. But I know, Dean, you're starting to get into the Batman a little bit more after watching, I think you said the other day on the show, Batman Returns. What are your thoughts on this character?
Yeah. I mean, I've watched these movies growing up. To me, this was always like when I picture Alfred, this is kind of the guy I always picture. Like, I don't know, especially starting with what's his name, Michael Caine. Like, Michael Caine is like too cool to be Alfred, and then it was
Too cool to be Alfred.
yeah, like Alfred is not that Alfred's not cool, but like Michael Caine is like a fucking legend. You know what I mean? Like, Alfred's supposed to be kind of just like, I don't know, a
Watch your
normal
mouth, watch your
everyday
mouth.
guy, and he's just like happens to help out Batman. He's just like whatever. And then we got what's his name? The one who played Batfleck's Batman. Like all young and chiseled and like it was
Jeremy
like no,
Irons, right?
absolutely not.
Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy Irons, thank you. And then we got fucking Schmeagol playing him. And I actually really liked his Alfred, but again, he's just like way too young. Like this old guy who's just kind of like sleepy. He just wants to get his job done. Like, this is Alfred to me. So like seeing this figure, this is cool. And like you said, 4 different movies, you could put him in on any shelf. And it's like, oh, that's Alfred. Like, duh. Like, clearly that's Alfred. I mean, dude, you could throw this figure on a shelf with fucking Bale, and it would still make sense. You know what I mean? Like, it's clearly that's supposed to be Alfred. Like, it just works. So, I like it. I think it's great.
100%. What are your thoughts, Marco?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that they are doing these characters that Hot Toys likely won't, right? And I think if someone was going to do a Batcave setup, I know Calvin was really interested in ordering some custom dioramas, especially for the Keaton Batman, to have a whole Batcave. I wish that I had the space to do something like that because it sounds incredible. So you would obviously want an Alfred in the collection. The sculpt looks nice. Obviously, we talked about him being a legend, so this is the correct Alfred to start with. For me, just I don't have the interest there because I definitely don't need an Alfred. I think that was just like a little too superfluous for my collection. But the fact that they would give you the option, and the fact that they've kind of knocked it out of the park with some of these recent both releases and teases is very appealing. So I'm glad that they're doing it, but definitely not for me.
That's fair. That's fair. I like your superfluous response. I can appreciate that. I think that this is one Alfred that I actually would want to add to the collection, though, because like Dean said, it floats through a couple different films. He's so iconic, actor-wise for sure. I almost bought the Michael Caine version when it was available from the Dark Knight film, like the 2-pack that it came with, which was really cool. But I didn't for the same reason that you're saying. It's like, as cool as Alfred is and as much of a compliment he is to Batman, it's really still the Batman that I go to see. If it was a movie just about Alfred, I might not be as jazzed to see it. I mean, maybe a younger Alfred. I did like the Alfred from the television show Gotham. I actually thought he was kind of a cool character, and I thought like he had kind of that like military, like kind of operative kind of style to him, but he was still old and he still served tea, and like there was like kind of a good combination of what we got from Jeremy Irons to Michael Caine or Michael Gough. So what were you gonna say, Dean? I think you were muted there.
I was about to say, it's funny you said that because they're talking about the show Pennyworth. I'm barely getting into my Batman fandom, so like I have not trudged down television. Like I barely start watching the Batman
Pennyworth
movie.
is a very deep cut. I have not even seen that. I have seen the last scene of the show, and it ends freaking crazy. That's all I know. But
Sorry to interrupt you, boys. Sorry to interrupt. We do have
No, you go
another special guest in the back room here. We've got Pete from Collecting Weekly OFAC. Let me remove this banner
wow,
here so we
what
can
the
see
legend.
you. From the other side of the world, Mr. Pete. Thanks for coming by,
Across
good
the
sir.
pond.
Yeah. As Zach says, the sun never sets on Collecting Weekly.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining the channel, good sir. This is the first time I think we've had you on here for sure. This is only our second live stream. I'm thinking about doing it every Sunday, like I was telling you in the channel the other day. So, is this a good time for you to pop in sometimes?
Yeah, it works for me. Yeah, it's not too late. It's just gone 10 o'clock. So, yeah.
Oh, nice.
It'd be great. Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, I like that you're here because I've always liked your accent. And for me, like a good Alfred has a good accent. So tell me a little bit about your thoughts, good sir, on this Alfred from Mars Toys. Is this something you would actually consider in your collection?
Oh, I see that this is actual, a tease from Mars Toys, is it? Yeah. I Michael Gough for me is Alfred. Yeah. Definitely. Obviously grew up with the Keaton Batman and stuff like that. So, and obviously he went on to the others, but for it's those two movies for me. And he's just I think like Dean was saying Michael Caine's too cool. He's got too much of a movie back catalogue, whereas Michael Gough, I didn't really know him before I saw 89 Batman, so I mean, no doubt he had a illustrious career before that, but not that I was aware of. So for me, he's very much my Alfred, and definitely I would be interested if I had an 89 Batman or whatever. I'd definitely look at having this guy with him. Yeah,
for sure. Were you going to say something, Marco, or do you look like you had a thought bubbling?
Not at all.
No,
way too many thoughts in this small head.
So with
wonder
this,
wonder how they do the glasses. Just thinking like how they'll do those, because they're difficult to capture glasses in 1/6 scale unless you do them in metal. They tend to be a little bit bulky, so I'd be interested to see how they're going to do that.
Hopefully not slits in the side of the head, so you can take the glasses off and not have an unsightly.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Well, and it's weird to look at an unpainted sculpt. So, like, I don't have the artistic skill to be able to paint sculpts. I think that's an amazing talent that customizers have out there. And I know, I think Pete, you've even done some custom painting, I believe yourself.
Yeah,
right?
done a few. Yeah. I'm kind of still learning. And it's the sort of thing that I tried a few years ago and kind of gave up, but I've come back to it recently, and I've quite enjoyed it actually. I mean, I'm not bad, but obviously there's some fantastic people out there, but for my own display, I'm quite happy with the sort of few I've done. But
I have a harder time seeing the likeness without the paint job. Like when I first saw it, I was like, it's good, but like until we see what it's painted and, like you said, what the level of thickness of the glasses are, like that will either really make or break, I think, this head sculpt. Anyways.
It is difficult, and sometimes you see an unpainted sculpt that looks absolutely spot on, and then it gets painted and it loses something in the paint. So it can work both ways. It's difficult to tell, but it looks decent, and obviously being an older guy, it's kind of easier to focus on the features and the wrinkles and stuff. So hopefully it turned out well.
Well, and like talking about Mars toys, and I've got a couple slides that I want to roll through with you. I don't want to necessarily, we don't have to talk to every single one, but I think kind of the overarching theme for me in my mind's eye today was like, are we thinking Hot Toys is actually going to come out with any of these offerings, or are they just going to let the playing field go to Mars? You know, with Alfred here, my immediate thought was then, okay, like, show me a cat.
Show me.
Show me a Catwoman. We need it, right? Like, we need a Penguin. If they're gonna go deep into it, give us some of these.
You're talking about from the Keaton verse.
From the Keaton verse.
Okay.
Absolutely. But even still, because this actor was able to blend between 4 different films, we could get an Uma Thurman, you know, Poison Ivy, right? We could get a Bane, but like the poison-filled Bane hulking dude that he was that can't speak.
You had me going until you talked about that Bane. Then you lost me.
Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, I think, is the one that I've seen the community asking for most. Yeah. Dean, do you think Mars Toys would tackle a Selena Kyle or Catwoman?
Bro, I think as long as no one else is doing it, they're going to keep down the Batman rabbit hole. Because they've already done a Bruce Wayne Keaton.
Yeah, let me get to it.
They're doing the Alfred.
Yeah.
Like, why would they not do Catwoman, Penguin, whoever? I mean, yeah, it's like, if no one's standing in their way, fuck it. And I mean, look, they did the 66 Batman and Robin even after Hot Toys has done it. Now those are what, a decade old, so they're really not standing in the way anyway. Mm-hmm. So it's like, hey, we're gonna remake those. We're gonna do the Joker '89 that people have been begging for, that, you know, for whatever reason Hot Toys can't or refuses to reproduce. I don't know if I think it's a Jack Nicholson thing. I think he's really picky about his license. So they're, you know, yeah, it's a little controversial on whether they should or shouldn't, but guess what? They're doing it. So it's already out. So you can get that one. They're redoing that one in a different version from the movie. Now we're getting 66 Joker. Mm-hmm. I mean, dude, nothing is standing in their way. People love this line. The fact that we've just got the which are the ones Hot Toys came out with the bulges, with the throbbing?
Yeah, Batman Forever.
Batman Forever. People have been begging for Batman Forever stuff for as long as I've been collecting. Mm-hmm. So it's like Hot Toys just now came out with them. I mean, they might not touch those characters, but I mean, Batman's a huge property spanning a lot of decades. They could go any route here.
For sure. For sure. I would want, if we were going to get that Selena Kyle or that specific Catwoman, I would want it to be leather. I'd be so worried about the pleather peel that we've got from, you know, the Anne Hathaway Catwoman that we've seen here and from past offerings. Hopefully not the newest version that's coming out, but still looks like they haven't changed it. Like, that one would have to be a leather or some kind of different material type entirely, I think, to be able to kind of pull it off. What are your thoughts, Marco? Do you think a Catwoman could come from Mars?
Yeah, I think like a character like this is actually perfect because I don't think Hot Toys would ever do this specific Catwoman. So this is like a really nice companion piece. But Dean was saying nothing is standing in their way. And I feel like for right now, yeah, they're kind of getting the free reign. They're announcing a bunch of stuff. But all it's going to take is for Hot Toys to drop, you know, we already know they have the prototype for the 66 Joker. You know, they could do a 2.0 of the Nicholson Joker as well. Just drop those 2 releases would be enough to make a lot of people reconsider going with Mars Toys. Like, oh, you know, I'll maybe just hold out for the official Hot Toys release. And so I think they could do a few things to kind of dissuade folks from, you know, going too deep down their line. They're doing a lot of exciting stuff, though. So I know I pulled up 1/6 Kit's page after I saw how the 66 Joker came out so close to the prototype. I was like, what else are they doing? You know, they're doing Breaking Bad figures. Mm-hmm. Obviously a lot of DC, like you just showed. So I'm very intrigued by them. But I do think, again, when it comes to the Keaton Batman, I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'll just wait to see if they do a Batman Returns 2-pack again, do a 2.0 of that or a reissue. So I think that's going to be in the back of my mind and maybe some other collectors' minds. But the price point's pretty dang good for most of these things. So I think enough to where a lot of people would just choose the Mars Toys option. But yeah, we shall see. Maybe Hot Toys isn't intimidated by them, but I have a feeling they have something up their sleeve to kind of drop a bomb on their plans right now.
For sure. Do you think then Eartha Kitt, who we see here on the screen, is also an option, Pete, in terms of future offerings from Mars, with them doing that, Romero Joker, and we've seen some teases on the Penguin, even the Riddler. Thoughts on an Eartha Kitt?
I don't know whether to go that deep. I know that a lot of people are asking for her, but for me, I mean, obviously, even I'm not old enough to watch these the first time round. I caught these on replays when I was younger. But for me, it's the big three. It's Joker, Riddler, and Penguin. And I absolutely love Burgess Meredith's Penguin. He's brilliant. So I'd definitely be interested in those. Kind of going beyond that, I don't really remember Eartha Kitt, Catwoman that much. Obviously, there's lots of other famous people that were in it, and they could go very, very deep down the line. But I think these three are going to be the ones that most people would want. And I think after that, you kind of get a little bit diluted, and obviously they're not going to want to really go with characters they don't think they're going to sell big numbers. So they could do Catwoman, but that might be kind of as far as they'd go.
For sure. I'm surprised there is as much popularity for the old 66 Batman and Rogues Gallery as there has been. Because, I mean, like, there's still a ton of people who have never even seen Keaton's Batman. So going back that far, it feels like a deeper cut, kind of the further and further that we get away from it. Having said that, I mean, collectors are kind of often in their 30s to 70s, right? And so I'm sure there's still a huge community of folks that, even if they're not necessarily a figure collector, that particular version of Batman and the Rogues, resonated with them. Maybe that's one of the first television shows they ever loved, or like, who knows, right?
I think these kind of unlock a core memory for a lot of people, though, right? Like, who hasn't been at home on a sick day watching this on replays, even if you didn't grow up with them? So.
Yeah.
Well, and like for me, like even this Romero Joker, like while he's certainly not my Joker, I've watched it enough times. My brother Mackenzie loves the 66 Batman, so he used to watch this show a lot. He'd be a great contender for a figure like this in his collection. He's not a figure collector, but he loves the films or the shows so much that it would be something I could see in his collection. But like even for me, I'm like, man, this looks so good, and for the price, it's kind of hard. It shouldn't be about the price, it should be about your love for the character, but like when they both are really good, I'm like, okay, like I can start to kind of justify it a little bit more for myself. I think Hot Toys is doing themselves a disservice by not trying to fight for this line a little bit harder now that I've seen some of the popularity that's come from it. Did you guys ever see the 1/6 scale statue of the Selena Kyle, the Catwoman, that was out where she was actually like laying down? I think some people put that in their collection as kind of a stay, like just a...
Was
like
this the Queen Studios one?
I think it was the Queen Studios one. I think you're right. That one was really impressive. And as I said, for me, even in the most recent Quantumania film, Michelle Pfeiffer is still an absolutely beautiful actress. And she was a badass. Like, I mean, she carried a lot of the reason why I liked that movie. So I think a lot of people would definitely go at least Catwoman. Now, this is not Mars Toys, but this is Saturn Toys. I've seen some people incorrectly make that distinction in the last couple days when they've been talking about...
I think I just did.
Oh, did you? Yeah. If you missed a Batman and Robin, they'd still have it available. So this is still through Saturn Toys. Odd that they've got like the planet theme going on between these toy companies. Like, when's Pluto Toys coming out with their Catwoman?
I think some
probably
folks have confirmed
owned by
though
the
that
same
it's
people.
I wonder.
They've confirmed
Oh,
it's the
did
same
they?
company.
Okay.
Oh, okay, have they? Well, there you go.
Yeah,
So
at least that's what I've heard.
If that's
from
the case,
some veteran collectors.
if that's the case, then I'm a rookie, and I apologize to the community.
Well, it's weird. I don't know why they do that, but
see it.
a lot of toy companies do that.
I guess when you're dabbling with unlicensed stuff, you got to have a shell company within a shell company to in case one
That's
gets
a
popped,
good
right?
point, Marco.
Yeah, I think that's why they do it.
Would you say, after all of the Batman films and shows and everything that we've gotten up to this point, Dean, if you had to choose one now, what would be your favorite Batman series or actor?
If I had to pick one right now, I might pick 89 Batman. I really, really enjoyed that movie. Not the 89, but the 92 one or whenever it came out. that was such a fun movie. I'll have to go back and watch '89. Maybe I'll appreciate it more. Yeah, it was fantastic. I just had so much fun watching it.
It's a fun time. What about you, Pete? What's your favorite Batman? What'd you say at this point?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Dean. 92 Keaton Batman. I just prefer the suit. I think it's more. It's just a little bit more polished than the 89 one, which was kind of a bit rough around the edges. I liked the straighter cowl, and I liked the armor and stuff on the chest. So yeah, and I absolutely love Batman Returns. That's my favorite Batman movie. So yeah, I agree with Dean. That'd be the same for me.
I watched it recently on 4K, the 89 version, and on the 4K on the big screen like that, it was like, you're right, there is certainly some rough elements to it. It's like really thick rubber, which is fair. I mean, it was, but like you could tell, like it's pretty rough. I still think, for me though, I actually do like the 89 suit better than the 92 suit. I just like I think it's, for me, it's just subtly more iconic, just in my like nostalgia brain. But
there's a hair's breadth between them, but yeah.
For sure. But then I would say that I liked Return still as a film more when I was a kid. That was the one that I went to on rewatch for sure. And then, Marco, I think I know the answer, good sir, because we've streamed a lot about Batman in the past. But what would you say is your top favorite Batman at this point?
Oh, you already know it's Bale. You already know it's Bale.
No, you complete me.
It's so true.
Incredible.
So true. Yeah, Bale for sure, eh? Are you hoping that InArt does a Bale Batman?
At 100%. I'm hoping it's going to be a 2-pack. I think we talked about it on my show. I think you were on there, Ben, where, I think there's been a few statue companies that have done, it might have been J&D, where they did the 2-pack with the Bruce Wayne and the Batman, and I think that would be a really intriguing offer. I don't know that I'm ready to spend, $1,100-$1,200 on that just yet, but if they did it, a year and a half from now, I could be very tempted.
That's fair. No, fair enough. I don't know if I would do an InArt Bale. As much as I like Bale as a character, I've done my tweaks to my DX12. I haven't even wanted to make the jump to the DX19. I'm pretty happy with it. I think unless I go and rebuy the Bane for the seamless body when that comes out, and of course I've got the InArt Jokers coming. If that really changes the scale of my collection and Batman suddenly just looks kind of puny, which he very well might because it's not a huge figure, then I'd be tempted, I think, at that point. But to pay InArt prices for a character I do have in the collection that I already really love would be tough to justify.
I can't wait to talk to you when they officially announce that, right? I know they might be redoing their phase 1, but when they officially show us the prototype, I know you're going to be tempted as all
for
heck.
sure. Well, and I pulled the trigger on this guy the other day to go with my Throbbing and my Kilmer Batman, because he's just awesome. I definitely see the Jim Carrey likeness here. I think it's going to be a really fun figure to have in the collection, and vibrant, like really eye-catching in terms of the coloration of the suit and all the cool stuff. So is this one that you were interested in, Pete, or are you still sticking more to the Hot Toys side of things?
I recently rewatched all of the first 4 Batmans with my son, and I'm not a massive fan of Batman Forever, and even less Batman and Robin. But one of the standouts for me is Jim Carrey as the Riddler in Batman Forever. He's really cool, and I do like Jim Carrey. A lot of people don't like it, but I do like it. I'm a massive Ace Ventura fan, and so yeah, I think he would probably be what I'd take from that movie as the best thing. But yeah, and it looks really cool. It's and I can see the likeness in there. So I think if you're like yourself, Ben, you've got the Batman and Robin. You got no choice. You got to go with this guy. And there's I think somebody's solicited and Harvey Dent as well, haven't they?
This guy.
Yeah, here we are. So yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you? They look great.
And I mean, this one even looks pretty gnarly, pretty cool in terms of. And if the price is similar to the Riddler, I think I would be all over it. I think I would only make one correction to my favorite Batman statement earlier, and I think it would for me, like live action, it's Bale for sure. But Kevin Conroy's Batman from Batman the Animated Series, I think for me will always stand the test of time as being my favorite Batman. Mondo Toys had done their 6 scale lineup of those figures. I haven't pulled the trigger on them, shockingly, mostly because I've got a very large collection of the 7-inch line now that I love. Like they absolutely fill that like place in the heart and in the collection. But some of the Mondo Toys offerings, it's been really hard for me to avoid buying them, even though they're essentially very just much like a 6 scale version of what I already have.
Action figure.
They're pretty amazing. And with Kevin Conroy passing this past year, like that was such sad news for the Batman world, right? And it even inspired me to go back to play some of those Arkham games, because again, just hearing his voice as Batman, like for me, forever, Kevin Conroy. When I think of the voice of Batman, it's him. I think for sure.
Ben, you know what would be pretty sweet is if they did a Billy D. Williams Two-Face. I know they've got an '89 Batman comic that's kind of continued that storyline. So a cool little what if. I'd be very interested to add.
Yeah, because he was Harvey Dent in the Keaton
We never
verse,
got
right?
to see that storyline play out only in the comics.
That'd be cool. Let's switch gears a little bit. We're getting close to the end of the show, and I do have a couple more questions for you guys here.
Oh my God. Who made this?
This is not my photo. I found it on the internet. Whoever owns this picture, thank you for the public usage. This is rough. This is a real rough. Not final product. So I wanted to get your thoughts on it, because lately we've seen Hot Toys going blue screen on places like Sideshow, like often before they're even available in stock. And they have obviously, Hot Toys as a company has gotten a little bit better about releasing figures, or at least pre-order windows for figures, closer to the date of some of these films that have come out. So we got a chance to see Shuri's Black Panther like before that movie even released. We got to see some teaser images. I mean, it kind of spoiled some of that movie for us a little bit, because we then were pretty confident, like we knew who Black Panther was. Ant-Man and the Wasp from this Quantumania film recently had another Paul Rudd sculpt, and it was a little divisive, but they went out and they said, I think it was JC Hong said right away, not the final product, like still a work in progress. The question I have for you guys, and I'll start with you, Marco, is does that worry you? Does that change your decision to pre-order? Or would you still pre-order the character if you liked the character, despite knowing that it's going to change? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so it is actually concerning to me if I don't see exactly what the final product's going to look like. If Hot Toys had a better track record of communication, and we knew exactly when they would announce like the updated sculpt, I would feel a lot better, right? We're still waiting on Doc Ock. They said, oh, hey, we're going to work on this, but we still don't know, and he's already starting to go low stock and in certain SKUs. So I think that's the most concerning part. If we knew that we could wait until the final product and get our pre-order in, then yeah, no harm, no foul. For those that are comfortable with how it is, and comfortable putting a pre-order for when it's going to be updated, then they can go ahead and do so, and those that want to wait can do so as well. But the fact that we get very sparse communication, not a clear roadmap, and then also items going low stock and not knowing how that's going to really work out in the final, that's the concerning part for me. So I'm okay if companies want to do this, but again, at least communicate with us when we're going to get an update, and don't keep us guessing and then feel anxious about when to put in a pre-order without really having all the data to make an informed decision.
Well, and I think with Ant-Man or Paul Rudd's character here, I mean, we've obviously seen some other Ant-Man. So some people already have them in their collection, right? So they're like, if I pass, if it's just like a ship in the wind and I just like let it pass, and then it's still available at some point, maybe I'll pick it up if it's better. Mm-hmm. But then, like we get figures like this that we're anticipating. And there's a huge community of collectors that want this figure in their collection. Maybe they didn't get the third-party offering that came out, a couple or 2 years ago, I think it was now. I know there are some people that got that option and still are happy with it. But this is a figure, I think it was Shane that was telling us the other day from 1/6 Figure Focus, that he eventually ended up just like hitting the pre-order button on this anyways and is just going to take the risk. They've said that it's likely going to get better, but there's really no assurance of that, so it's really just kind of gambling. But are you willing to justify missing it in your collection? Dean, what are your thoughts on this? Is this something that makes you nervous when it comes to ordering, or? not at all?
Yeah, not really. Most of the figures I order are like helmeted people. You know, whether it's a Captain America, an Iron Man, a Bo-Katan, a Mandalorian, I'm gonna display it with the helmet on. Now, does it make me upset if the likeness is pretty bad? Yeah, but I'm also not gonna be using it, so it's I'd rather take that risk, or I guess not take the risk. I'll just buy it, and if the head sculpt is worse, you know, then it's like, well, I'm not gonna use it anyway. But on something like this, where it's like that is the figure, the head sculpt, yeah, it's a little different. It's like, well, I don't want to keep rewarding bad behavior, but also like, if I don't get this figure, I'm just not gonna get it. It's a hard mountain to climb. Like, am I making the right choice? Am I not? Like,
For sure.
yeah, it's
Well, and a character like this could be a pinnacle piece of somebody's collection. If they're trying to collect all of the No Way Home line, for example, this might be that one piece that's kind of left remaining that is like, it's such a wild card, you know. We got guys here like like Shiny in the chat saying like, I literally don't trust Hot Toys anymore, which is, it's sad to see. But then I still like Alvin J's comment here about, I'm confident in Hot Toys to give us a decent enough final product as a whole. I know if John heard that from Collecting Weekly, he'd lose his absolute shit, because he'd be like, good enough? That's just not good enough, right? Like, these are expensive. We pay a premium for it.
That's why I said I don't like to keep rewarding bad behavior, but like, I know a lot of people weren't happy with the Bo-Katan. It's like, it was good enough for me. Like, again, like, you're never going to get 100%, but I'm also not going to display her that way.
That one's
and you're
tough.
right.
So
for a lot of people are like, but that's a problem.
How did that sculpt hold up
behavior
in person, Dean? Because I saw a video by Boston Collectors, I think is his full name, and he was kind of controlling the light, and in certain lights, like, it looks spot on.
I think it looks fantastic. But I also liked the episode 3 LB1, and a lot of people hated that head sculpt, and I was like, I don't get it. I think this thing looks great.
Some sculpts are just divisive.
Yeah, some people. Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah,
Well, it is hard, because like, it can kill the excitement, right? When we're in this community of folks, like, there was a time where I was the only person I knew that collected Hot Toys. So like, any sculpt I have behind me was still better than any toy you could buy out there, right? It was better than anything. I got that Loki in hand the other day. I wasn't sure I was going to love it because of kind of the divisive feedback we've got from community about it. And like, even guys like, Will out there, Will Fox Vacation, who like, that Loki is like one of his favorite characters. Even he was like, it's good, but it's not like amazing. Once I got that figure in hand and he put him on the shelf, I didn't have another Loki in the collection. It looks awesome. Like, to me, it's like Tom Hiddleston's, he's here. He's right there.
But also, your expectations have been reset, right? So you're not expecting the prototype. Now you're expecting something worse, and it's like, okay, now I can appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe that's kind of that weird, like, mental gymnastics that we do with ourselves, right? Especially once you justify the purchase to yourself in order to get it in. I tend to justify a lot of my figure purchases, and it drives Shauna nuts, because she's like, dude, like, why do you keep justifying this? And I'm like, well, because it's a lot of money, and like, like, if I get it in, and then like, I'm not happy with it, maybe I'll move it on, and like, she's like, literally, it doesn't matter. If you want it, just like, find a way to enjoy it in your own collection.
That's true.
Does this bug you at all? Like, I haven't got your take really in the past on whether you're even nervous about kind of like things like blue screen on Sideshow, or do you think that's kind of smoke and mirrors? Like, what are your thoughts on this as an issue?
Yeah, just to go back to sort of what Dean was saying, I think I totally agree. It depends how you're going to display that character. With Ant-Man, it wouldn't bother me, because I'd have him with the helmet on, and the head sculpt is a bonus, really, so if it's not perfect. But I'm a bit like you as well, Ben, in that I've been buying these things for a long time, and obviously the quality has improved a lot, and I think we're so used to seeing enough fantastic spot on shrink ray sculpts that we expect them all to be that good. And yes, that would be nice, and we can have that expectation because of the price we're paying for these things, but at the same time, you're not going to get that with every single figure, and I agree with you that this is still going to look absolutely fantastic on the shelf. You know, it's not just about that head sculpt. You know who it is, and the rest of it will all kind of, you know, it will still be a stunning figure. And you know, there's figures that I've got that, all right, I would like a better head sculpt, but I need to have the representation of that figure in my collection, so I'll have it anyway. And obviously, you know, at some point down the line, you might decide, I really don't get on with that head sculpt. So you can go down the custom route. You know, you can get a sculpt. Obviously, you know, if you can paint it yourself, it's a lot cheaper. But there are options to do that. So I don't think, as much as this isn't 100%, I don't mind it, and I think that you're still getting a really good product. You know, yes, it'd be nice if it was 100%, but not every sculpt can be. And I think as long as the overall package is still good, I would still pre-order if it was something I wanted. You know, I wouldn't. There's a big argument for do you pre-order, do you not? But the time when you don't do it, and then you know you get burnt, and it's a figure that you really wanted, it's not impossible to get it, but you might end up paying more for it on the aftermarket. So
totally, that almost happened to me with Peacemaker. I didn't think it was going to be as popular of a show as it ended up being, so I didn't pull the trigger on it right away when it first announced. And I didn't love the first kind of version that they showed us with the seams and the arms, and the likeness to John Cena I didn't think was there right away. And then they updated it, and it was like, holy crap. And then all of a sudden it started to go like, you know, low stock everywhere, and so and then it sold out, and I missed it, so I put myself on the wait list, and that was actually one that converted for me, that I was like, yeah, 100%. Like, but it was the same thing. I was trying to like wait to see if they improved that figure, because I really wanted a Peacemaker. I loved the show, but I didn't really like this option from Hot Toys. And then as soon as they tweaked it and it was better, it was so close to missing out that it wouldn't have been worth it. I would have felt really disappointed if I hadn't got that conversion. Obviously, there are other places out there than Sideshow. Like, I don't work for them. I don't get any kickbacks from them. Like, none of us really do. But it's still like, it's a safe option, especially when I'm here in Canada. I know I can usually get from them, and it's a consistent experience. That would have been pretty shitty. So,
that's a good example of. Oh, sorry, Pete. Go ahead. And then
no.
chime in.
I was just going to say, you've also got to consider how many more chances you're going to get this figure. This is the only Doc Ock that Hot Toys are ever going to make. Whereas Ant-Man, there will be another 2-3 versions, whether it's Paul Rudd in the future, what have you. And so I think if it's a character you really want, this is your one chance. So, you know, if you want it, get it. And as I say, there's options head sculpt wise, but I think you know, other figures you can pass on because you know there's another one coming, but not in this case.
Well, and I mean, that third-party offering might end up being cheaper, right? And now, if this one's coming out, that other one might end up being cheaper. Sorry to cut you off, Marco. What were you going to say?
Yeah.
No, I was just going to talk about the Peacemaker, and that being a really good example of, you know, they updated it before it went on low stock or went on wait list, right? So they kind of gave it enough time for you to make a decision with what's closer to the final product. Whereas if they would have showed it with, you know, the jointed arms and said, hey, you know, it's a work in progress, we'll give you an update in a little bit, and then it goes low stock, and you don't really have a chance to, you know, preview what the final version is going to look like, that could have caused some anxiety. So yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. And anxiety, I think, is the reason I put this slide up here, kind of for the last slide for me today, because I feel that lately, more so than I ever felt in the past. When I first started doing 6-scale collecting, I never envisioned that I'd have 35 figures, let alone 100 or 200 like some folks have out there in the world. It can get a little overwhelming because it's amazing how many things that I want. Like, I've got like so much nostalgia packed into this little soul of mine, that like dark soul, that I'm like, I can't keep up with it all. And I think at the end of the day, cultivating a collection makes sense. When I start adding up the pre-orders I have right now already, it's a lot of money. You know, if I had 200 pre-orders like some of the folks out there have, like that's a crazy down payment on a home, or on just like an entirely different hobby altogether. But I think it's amazing that some folks can do that. And I think if you can only get one figure a year, that's still pretty awesome. because again, this is a smaller community. Not everybody can afford to even have one of these in their collection or in their man cave or in their office or wherever it is. So for me, it is a remember to breathe. It is a remember to just cultivate, get the things that I want, not just because it's cool, not just because of the fear of missing out. Like, I have to have a connection to it, or I'm going to have to let it pass by and enjoy it in other people's collections. Punchline, Dean, like, that's not something I would necessarily collect, but every image, every comic cover you've shown me, the statue you're getting, it's like, dude, that is cool. Like, I am kind of jealous, but like, I'm more happy for you, man, because it's like,
that's a great thing about this
yeah,
community. You can enjoy
100%.
other people's collections of stuff that you don't have in yours, you know. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, especially when we do like unboxings, you kind of like feel like you're with them, you know, like you're unboxing it too. Yeah, it's nice. I like it.
For sure. So I've got one last question for you guys. We're going to take about 6 more minutes, and then we're going to wrap up the show for today's Sunday edition of the Ben Thomas Show Live Workshop. Real quick, and we have a lot of creative community members here, a lot of people in our chat that we see week over week in all of our live shows, which we appreciate. It does not go unnoticed to me, all the folks that come week over week, so I appreciate it. And a lot of them are way more creative than me. I was trying to think of what I can call this Sunday show, because for those out there, if you're enjoying the show today, I'm planning on having a Sunday show every week. It'll likely be scheduled at the same time. It might go an hour later. Just kind of depends. If this is a good slot for you, I'd love to hear from you guys in the chat below. Let me know if this worked for you. If you want it to be a little bit later, I can consider that as well. But workshopping a quick show name, do I leave it as Ben Thomas Show Live? Like, what do you guys think? Like, I need some creative solutions. And those of you, if there's somebody out there that tells me a name for the show and I think it's funny or cool and I end up wanting to use it, I've got some Ben Thomas Show swag that I'll send you in the mail. So just a little additional thank you for coming up with some creative stuff. Dean, do you have any show names that you think I should consider?
I think I had sent you one the other day, like the Sunday Takeover or something like that. Because now there's no... Will used to stream on Sundays, and now he's not doing that anymore. I was like, well, you're filling the void. You're taking over Sunday. But, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to really sit down and you know, brainstorm.
I like this one already.
You want to get nuts?
You wanna go
Let's get nuts. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I like that one, Nicolio. I do. 6LP Nut Gallery. So
It's got to
it's
have
funny.
nut in it, 100%.
I was trying to think of that, and Shauna even
that,
Shauna even suggested that, and I thought of Peanut Gallery the other day, and I sent it to Dean, and he was like, I don't know. John from Collecting Weekly tends to say that a lot, and they have they have a Peanut Gallery tier in Collecting Weekly. So I'm like, ooh, like I can't steal from Collecting Weekly boys. They're the ones that, you know, help grind me into this, you know, person that I am today, right? So, but I like it. Behind the Ben. I love this.
Let's get nuts is pretty good.
Pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Pretty damn good.
That's a top tier choice for me. The holodeck, I also like that Star Trek reference. Very cool. Cool scene with the holodeck in Picard's episode this week. Picard episode 4. I enjoyed that quite a bit. So, what did he say? Shiny says, this is a good time for me in the UK, but not sure about the US folks. The gentleman's gathering with the Ben Thomas. Like, tough nut to swallow live. I'm gonna have some concerned moms out there being like, "What are these people teaching our children?" You know. Pete, did you have any that you thought?
Yeah,
I know
no, it's got to have nut in it somewhere.
Gotta have
whether
nut
it's
in
a tough nut or not. Yeah, you know, we got to work it. Yeah, well, I'll have a think about it and let you know.
for sure. That's all I want. Sunday Scale from Toy Cartel. I also like that too.
That's nice.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Keep me posted. Any of you guys listening, either in the after show and in the recorded version of the show here, or if you're live, if you think of anything, send it to me on Instagram at the Ben Thomas Show, or you can put it in the comments down below. I will select one by Wednesday this week, and it will be the show name going forward, at least for the time being, on our Sunday afternoon shows together. But guys,
Cool.
all I wanted to say was thank you for coming to the second, but really, in my opinion, first Ben Thomas Show live show, the Let's Get Nuts show. That's top tier. I'm digging that. Dean, tell me a little bit about what you got coming up this week, good sir. Anything that I don't already know about your life?
No, in fact, we got unboxings tomorrow. The main show on Tuesday with two of these lovely guys. Pete, you gotta make it to a CW live one day.
I know it's a tough time slot for me, mate.
Yeah, I know, it sucks. Wednesday we'll have After Dark. I think we're gonna try and do some gaming. I'm not sure. Thursday we got Small Talk. Friday Collectors Club. You know the way it is. We got a whole week of content for you guys over there on CW. So come on over.
Always
That's
bringing
awesome.
the magic.
Always.
That's awesome. And then Marco, same question, good sir. Take us off. Tell me a little bit about your life. What's going on with you this rest of this today on Sunday or this week?
Did you just ask me to pull you off, first of all? But second of all, no, thank you for having me. Really, really fun time. The pull off with Ben Thomas. There you go. Boom. So no, really, really fun time on our channel on 16 Fix. Want to bring the Bargain Bin Bros back at some point. We've had a long hiatus, so there's a lot of really weird stuff going on. So a lot of topics to talk about. So we'd love to bring that back. Hopefully this week. Like to do those Friday, kind of around noon Pacific time. So look for an announcement there on Instagram. Also, another episode of the She Said No podcast. We might do an unboxing. So I've got the Han Solo Disguise Trooper that just came in. So might do an unboxing for that. And then catch me on Collecting Weekly on Tuesday. I will not be on this Tuesday, but every other Tuesday. And then LWO, and I believe it should be on P-Rock's channel this week. So yeah, if you want to follow us on Instagram, you can kind of see when all those shows are going to be going live.
That's awesome, man. Thank you again for coming by today. Thanks for being such good friends. I appreciate your support. Pete, I hadn't got a chance to connect with you as much. I didn't even send you the show sheet. You came in raw and dirty today, good sir. You didn't know what to expect, but you showed up anyways.
Yeah,
Tell me
always ready. Yeah, so it's my week off this week. We
Nice.
did OFAC last week with Shane because Ian was unavailable. Yeah, so we're really just trying to kind of ramp up the celebration, kind of hype that up because obviously, as you know, the Collecting Weekly is sending me and Ian as official ambassadors to Star Wars Celebration on the Saturday. So we've got some stickers, we've got T-shirt. We're going to sort of start putting a lot of bits and pieces on the network just to ramp that up. And obviously anybody that's either coming from overseas or the UK, we're going to try and kind of meet up with as many people as we can. Maybe shoot some live video, things like that. So yeah, that's coming up in just under 4 weeks. So it's gonna be
That's
cool.
awesome, man. That's
Very
awesome.
exciting.
So I don't know if I told you I'm getting a chance to see Dean and Zach in about 3 weeks in Dallas. It's the first time. Shauna was like, I love Dean. I'm so excited. I can't wait to hug him. And I was like, okay, but you got to make sure you hug Zach too, because he's super sensitive.
Oh,
And
yeah.
if you just hug Dean, we're all in trouble. So
Yeah, definitely.
so she knows it's clear as day. We're
Awkward
good there.
card ride home, bro.
Yeah. But it would be awesome to meet you in person at some point too, Pete. Every Sunday
yeah.
this week, or like this day and time slot, if this works for you, let me know
yeah.
week over week. No pressure by any stretch. Anybody can jump in at any time. If there's ever a week where there's nobody who wants to join me, I'll just sit here and talk to myself in the chat for a couple hours and have some fun with that as well. But always love to have you in here and get your take on it. For me, over here at the Ben Thomas Show, like again, obviously, I'm going to start doing a live Sunday show. I do have a couple unboxings coming up with some things that are coming in the mail, hopefully pretty soon, including this week, Renz Talentino has sent me an art piece, so I'm going to review that on the channel. It is the Wednesday that he drew from Wednesday Addams' television show on Netflix.
Nice.
There, it's absolutely a stunning piece, so I'm really, really excited to share that with the community. And Shauna said she wants to jump in a live show at some point as well, so we may get some female flair here. There's also been a couple of collectors on Instagram from all over the world that have reached out and said that they'd be interested in maybe doing streaming. They have some statues and figure collections and stuff like that as well. So stick around. You guys may end up getting a chance to meet some other collectors out in the world there. We'll have to vet them first because, you know, if they're not as appropriate as Dean, I'm not allowed to have them on the show. If they're any better looking than Dean, I'm definitely not allowed to have them on the show.
They
so we
swear
gotta-
like Ian. No.
Yeah, they swear like Ian. It's over. But with that, guys, we will leave that for the Sunday sign off for today. Thanks for watching. I definitely appreciate you all here. And we will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.
I'll be back.